Hey guys, welcome to Finally Clicked, the podcast where we discuss business, leadership, and personal development. My name is Margaret Smith, and I'm the Director of Operations for Pickett Street Properties, a real estate team out of Bothell, Washington. And I'll be here every week with our owner and team leader, Jesse D. Moore. We'll be digging into concepts and ideas that have helped us both personally and professionally. And you'll also get a chance to hear from local and national experts that we know provide massive value to get to the point where it all finally clicks. Hey guys, welcome to Finally Clicked with Margaret Smith and Jesse Moore.
Hello, everybody. Margaret, nice to see you today.
Jesse, it's great to see you.
Actually, I haven't seen you much this week.
No, not really, I guess, actually.
Yeah. I had a busy day yesterday.
Yeah, we've both been pretty busy.
This is going to be like our 411.
In person, live.
Everybody's going to hear us catch up.
Mm-hmm. That's good. Since that is actually all around. The topic that we have today is spending time.
Yeah, so what's our topic?
Our topic is time. All things around time. Time prioritization, time management, delegation, leverage, the 411, and what is that? Vacation time, all things time.
Yeah, it's challenging to always know what to say or what our episodes are going to be about. Mm-hmm. I want them to be topical. I want them to be interesting.
You know what I realized? I'm kind of your hype man. In some of these episodes I've been listening back to, you say a word and then I echo it.
It's called call and response, and it's like we're in a Southern Baptist church.
Time.
Yeah, this isn't a
but
harmony.
You want it to
it's
be topical. You want it to be on point with what we're experiencing currently. And you're about to leave for Mexico, so this is a good time to talk about time.
Yeah, and that kind of inspired this, is that I'm going on vacation, and I could not need it more right now, honestly. And I don't know that this was in the budget necessarily. I know it wasn't. I just realized a few months ago that if I didn't do this, I'd be insane. I'd go insane. I'm ready to kick puppies.
That'd be fun to watch.
And
not kick puppies.
Yeah, that's how I feel.
Thank
and that's how you
don't have a puppy.
That's how you can feel if you don't get time to recharge and time distance for perspective.
And I think also talking about mindset on time too, and how you talk about your time. I think you feel such a lack of time. And you've felt such a lack of time. I don't know where this comes from. I think it might have started. I might have done it to you when I started asking you to calendar yourself. I feel like you kind of went into panic mode, and you've done it, and you've gotten a lot better at it. But you focus a lot on time, and you're also all about prioritization and best use of time and being efficient. But I definitely feel like you don't have time a lot of the time.
Yeah, if you want to get inside my weird brain for a second, Joe Rogan's podcast, he had a cosmologist on. So this is he's a physicist who focuses on the cosmos, right? Okay. Space, time. And this guy knows more in his pinky fingernail than I'll ever know, it feels like. And he talked about, Joe basically asked him a question of, like, how long has the universe been a safe environment for humans?
Wow.
Basically. And it's like 2 billion years.
2 billion.
Realize that they think the Big Bang happened 13 billion years ago. So that means for 11 billion years, it was not a safe environment. Like, it was not a good environment for humans.
Yeah.
And 2 billion years it was. And that, you know what it made me think of, is how impatient I am.
Yeah.
I was like,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like
we can't talk about time without talking about patience.
It's like, if I was the creator of the universe, I'm not waiting 9 billion years for humans to show up.
It's a pretty long time without
11 billion years.
Entertainment. Yeah.
And then, okay, here's 2 billion years. Let's watch it grow from primordial sludge to a walking, talking guy that needs fast food every once in a while. Mm-hmm. And it made me think that maybe I should be more patient.
Wow.
Because maybe great things happen
with more time. Interesting.
I don't know.
Well, how do we want to tackle this? What do we want to talk about first? There's some really good hot topics and hot buttons in here for both admin and execs.
All right. So I'm going to do it in order of most applicable.
Okay.
I think what the audience could apply today to their life.
All right. I like that.
And for me, that's 411. So I'll call it 411 time. And really, in 411, for context, is a document inside of Keller Williams that we use. It's a goal-setting document. It is 4 different areas of growth. And it breaks down your annual goals into monthly goals into weekly goals. And our goal with the 411 is an opportunity to check in once a week to see the progress towards the weekly goals being fulfilled, to the monthly goals being fulfilled, to the annual goals being fulfilled. And so it's just a check-in unit of measurement and accountability to make sure that we're always pushing the ball forward.
I think it's great to talk about this because this comes up actually at our monthly mastermind from people that are not part of Keller Williams, that are from different brokerages. And then also, I know specifically, we actually have a lot more people listening to this podcast that are not in real estate, which I think is awesome. And this 411 template is something I'll post in the Facebook group on the Finally Clicked podcast page and in the show notes if I can. So you can take this and apply this in your business. It could work across any industry. So I think it's a great topic for us to start with.
Well, I think the best part about it is it forces you to think about your goals.
Yep.
It forces you to write them down.
Yep.
And then if you do the weekly meeting, then it forces you to measure your progress.
Yep.
Most people don't write down their goals. Most people don't have goals.
Nope, don't know how to set
Most
them.
people don't write them down if they do have them. And if they do write them down, they don't check in.
Yep.
In fact, I was thinking about this with you. You are such a goal-oriented person. But before the 411, before being on the team, did you treat it the same?
No, not at all. I've always been, I remembered the quote I wanted to say last time that Monique Hellstrom, chief of Simon Sinek, said. She says, accomplishment is her heroine. And that's very true for me. So prior to this, I didn't have structured ways of accomplishing goals. I knew I wanted to do big things. So that's why I started my photography business. That's why I went for my master's in social work. That's why I always went to achieve what was the most difficult angle. That's what I took. It went across all things. Like that showed up in my painting class. My painting instructor told me that I did that. And so what the 411 did for me was I got a target board. I don't know what that's called, a target. And I was able to focus all of my energy down. And while I didn't really know how to create goals, by just fighting through the process, which is what Sarah Trosky, our team admin, has had to do too, you start to learn how to do it, how other people do it. You start paying attention. And it definitely helped me sharpen what I wanted to focus on. So, yeah.
Yeah, I just, again, to give you credit, you're a very goal-oriented person. And I got to thinking about whether or not that was the case before you joined us. And I have to think that some credit is due to the 411 process.
Oh, yeah.
And so all these people that hear, I know there's so many people that look up to you and want to emulate you in some way. And all I can say is you can't do it unless you do the 411.
You do the work, right? And I have the other thing you told me in the first year, one of the admin reached out to me last week and she said, I'm realizing the more I love the podcast I listen to, the more I realize how human you are. And I love that you're talking about your mistakes. Because I tell people all the time, don't put me on some sort of a pedestal because it's a lot of hard work. I'm not magical. It's a lot of hard work, a lot of hours behind the scenes. And I forget where I was going with this now.
You're human.
I'm human. And so you told me the first year that I'm a really good, I self-manage really well. And that's actually one of the characteristics that I look for in admin and people that we hire. You don't have to do the 411 with me every week for me to still be on track with it. Doesn't mean that I don't like doing it with you. I do. But I am most accountable to myself because I need to be the leader that I want to be for other people as well, which means I have to take care of myself and do what I say I'm going to do. So for those of you that are looking and you're wondering how I do it, this is it. Every single week, sitting down, writing down the tasks. And maybe I'll post an example of one of mine on Facebook as well so you guys can see kind of what are some of my goals on there and how do I break it down. Because everything from buying my duplex to getting health insurance to, anything that I want to do, take a trip, all that stuff goes on there.
Yeah, even planning the Pacific Northwest admin retreat, that was started on the 411.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we could talk about this for a while, and I do want to spend some time on it. As a rainmaker, I cannot encourage you enough. like for whatever. The best way I've heard this explained, D.R. Whitson, who is our coach and who has where we learned the hiring process that Keller Williams uses. One of the things that he always used to say is that when you hire someone, they're giving you 39 hours of their day, of their week.
Yeah.
And in exchange, you give them 1 hour of yours. Meaning that if you hired someone and you met with them once a week for an hour, they would be they are giving you 39 additional hours of work. And good to great. When they talk about launching a rocket ship to the moon, you just don't point it at the moon and hope it gets there. You make a series of slight adjustments. It's not one adjustment or five. It's a series of hundreds or thousands of adjustments, slight adjustments. So 411, if you're a rainmaker, please don't ever say you don't have time to do this, because you do have time. You're just not prioritizing it. And I'm gonna tell you to prioritize it. And the reason why it's so important, and in our relationship, you and I, Margaret, it's very, very, very important.
It's critical. Yeah.
If you and I don't talk, if we don't get the 411 time in, and I agree, it's changed over time. Again, we've been working together 6 years. We've done the 411. You know how to do that. And now it feels more like a check-in where you and I are just kind of touching bases about aspects
if we haven't
of the
already
business.
had lunch together 3 times, if we have, there's other multiple chances for time.
But 411 is such a key thing. And so if you're a rainmaker, I just have to tell you, please try it for 3 months. Check in with your admin, your EA, your DOO for an hour a week for 3 months and see how that relationship changes. See how their productivity goes up. Just give it a shot. If we don't get that time together, we're off.
Oh, yeah.
Our communication's off.
Everything's
our moods are off. Personalities are off.
Work, efficiencies, all of it. I mean, I'm teaching my class this week, and this is one of the things I'm going to spend more time on than usual, because it's one of the things that's required. If you decide to build a business and be a leader, sorry, you have to touch base with the people that you hire. And if there's something, if I could slap someone about something, it would be this. Because across industries, especially real estate, 95% don't meet with their admin. They don't, and who knows what they even do with their agents, but they don't see it as a priority. They don't see how what the impact is, because it's one of those things that, like we talked about last time, is a consistent, slow growth. But I would not be where I am today if we hadn't taken the time to do that, because of the time that it takes to get to know the business and then get to know you. It's just shocking to me how many people play it off as something that's not that important.
All right, whenever I do analogies, they either fall flat or they're amazing. So we'll see where this lands. But if you have a classic car in the garage, and you don't ever drive it, and you don't ever put gas in it, you don't ever run the engine, it atrophies. It turns into a piece of metal that isn't worth anything because it's not functional. Or you have a Lamborghini or a hot rod, and you drive it and you start it and you fine tune it and you work on it, and it's a hot rod. And the reason it's a hot rod is because you put so much time and effort and work into it.
Yep.
And it's not always hard. In fact, at some point, it's super easy.
Oh, yeah.
It's super easy.
Yeah.
And it's just a matter of maintenance. And this is maintenance. 411 is not, it's growth and it's maintenance.
Totally.
And so spending that time, setting that time aside, giving them that 1 hour of your week so they can give you 39 or more is essential.
So do you have an example of, like, I know you've done a 411 for yourself at some point or another. What would be an example of something you'd have on your 411 as a business owner?
All sorts of things. I might have a hiring goal for hiring new personnel, an appointment goal, obviously, for productivity, vacation goal, personal financial goal. I'm not great at goals. I'm not great at writing them down. I'm not great at following through on them. It's just something. In fact, it's something I've been working on, struggled with coaches before. Is that I'm more of I I want to move the ball forward, and I just consistently keep doing that. And then I end up in with some amazing results. And so I don't think, and I understand the flaw in this thinking, as far as think with the end in mind and be intentional. That's something we've been talking about. That's our word for the year that we share a little bit is intention. And so now that I understand the power of intention, now I understand why goal setting is important and writing it down is important and thinking with the end in mind is important. What I've been doing is I just don't want to be where I'm at, so I keep pushing it forward. And then I look up and I'm in a great place, but I don't always know how I got there. Right?
Yeah.
And so I do love...
I think I love actually talking about this because it's been a struggle for us, right? Because I'm so goal-oriented and I do write things down. But it's a mix of I think we're almost there. It's like we're fine-tuning this part of our partnership because you know yourself really well and you know what you don't like. And I think that's okay. So we just have to find the right way to do it in which that... it doesn't make you hate it, and it helps us understand where we might want to be going in the future.
I'm smiling as you talk because my
hand movements?
No, the listeners just don't understand what an issue this is for us.
Oh, sure, yeah. It's a big one.
I mean, it is an issue. The issue is that you want me to cast a vision. And the way that I've always operated is, again, in that incremental way where I push the ball forward, and then when I look up, I'm in an amazing place. But I don't know how to recreate that always. But I kind of love that I don't always know where it's going. I love that part.
You love the spontaneity.
Oh, I love it. Like, it's the best. Because I even end up places even better than I could have dreamed or thought about or realized.
Yeah.
And that's been a challenge for us because that's not how you operate. And so we've had to find ways to do that. And that does require, on my part, some growth and goal setting and then measuring that, being accountable to the result.
Yeah, one example I can think of for me that's changed when we talk about being intentional, I love that we share that word for this year, is I really want to be intentional with my finances. And so something I've done is I'm taking what I have on my 411 and I'm putting it into a visual, some sort of an image, and then I'm putting it on my vision board. So something that a lot of people have done, you've probably heard many people do this, is I wrote a check to myself for $50,000 because that's how much more money I want on top of what I made last year. And it doesn't mean from necessarily Pickett Street, but just from life.
Right.
And so I wrote the check, put it on my vision board, and I'm going to manifest it. And so it's actually already happening in small sorts of ways. But that will lead some of my actions because I know I need to take action in order to make that extra cash. So, but I just put a number to it and I put it down and it felt good to at least do it.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
The other important thing about the 411 is the feedback to your direct report.
Yeah.
And so I know I mentioned this. We talked about it briefly with Susan Scott, and I had asked her about performance reviews.
Yeah, I love that you asked her that. I hadn't thought about that.
Every 6 months or quarter or whatever, and she hates them. And I referenced this quote, and I actually pulled it up so I could be accurate. So I wanted to share it real quick. And this is an article for Fast Company written by Dennis Wilson, and he says the following. If the only feedback your employees get from you is in the form of a 6 or 12-month performance review, it's time to change your approach to feedback. Dropping bombs on employees once or twice a year only serves to build up pressure and make feedback sessions feel like indictments. And most importantly, it does little to alter behavior and improve performance and productivity, which should be your goal. I love that image of dropping bombs. It does feel like if you only did a review with your personnel every 6 months, man, there's so much anxiety and apprehension about that meeting because we tend to focus on the negative and what didn't I do right and what don't I know.
Yeah.
And then when we focus on that, it gets awkward and weird.
It does.
And people end up dreading that experience.
And then also, where does the growth come in? Because how do you learn from mistakes that happened 6 months ago? And I just had this conversation with Sarah Trosky, my admin and team admin, last week. And she said, I realize I have a lot of fear about them, even our weekly meetings, because at Chase, where she worked prior, they had annual reviews where they had a list of things that she had done wrong. And she was like, I can't even remember back to that day. How am I supposed to correct the action if I wasn't in the moment told?
No,
And
it's like shooting at the moon, going past it, and then saying, "Oh, I should have made an adjustment."
Yeah.
Like, hey, you've already missed the objective. Now we're gonna reflect on why.
Well, then how much more powerful too, and I know it's been powerful for Sarah, when I pull up a chair and I look at her and I talk to her for half an hour to an hour every week, and she knows that I care about her. She knows that I know her goals. She knows I'm going to hold her accountable to them. She knows that she has me here as a resource. And I know I was thinking about this. I know sometimes it's frustrating for her because I do push so hard on myself, and sometimes she feels like she can't ever catch up to me, or how's she going to catch up to me? And I think that's okay, actually, for a leader like that to always be a little bit ahead of you, so you feel like you have something to strive for. And I think for Sarah, though, it's like, Margaret, you're running 1,000 miles a minute. How do I even run 100 miles a minute? But she's gone through some massive growth, and that 411 is part of that, totally.
Yeah, I mean, as a rainmaker, you value your time more than anything. And while I appreciate that, then that is the best way to benefit your admin is by giving something that you prioritize so much and giving that to them for a little bit of time.
Yeah.
It solves so many issues.
Oh my God, like countless. And the number one thing that you made me think of was all the things that I've learned at classes that Sarah's never been to, or maybe jobs that Sarah's never had, information that I've gotten from you that I can pass on to her. This is like, it's kind of like how they talk about storytelling through generations of family. I mean, literally, I'm trying to fill her brain with as much knowledge as I can from what you've given me, so she can better know you, so she can better know the business, so she can learn from me. And it's just 45 minutes to an hour a week, but at least it's something. And I know that it feeds her. So, yeah, it's a big deal. So it doesn't surprise me when we come across executives and admin that are clashing or having issues, or maybe there's a business that's having an issue that we see. A lot of times it goes back to, are you guys meeting? And they're not.
Well, I think it's important. I think there's a factor here that I'm thinking through in my brain. I'm trying to put my thumb on it exactly. And that is, I think it's important for rainmakers to do this out of a sense of humility as well. And what I mean by that is, I think we have the tendency to bowl people over. I think we have a tendency to run through people because we have this sense of priority, this sense of time is fleeting and time is our most valuable asset. But we kind of can be assholes about it, about saying, hey, why are you bugging me? My time's important, right? And I think that that can create a very caustic work environment where it actually impacts the admin's confidence and their ability, their self-worth. Because in a way you're saying, you're not important right now.
Yeah.
And you're not important in general, and lots of things are more important than you.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, that's not beneficial to your
ultimately
organization.
To the owner, right?
It's not to the organization.
No, yeah.
Like, you have to be able, I understand when you have fires to put out, things come up. Yes, there are times when everything else gets pushed to the side. You cannot consistently do that to your admin and expect
greatness.
Expect them to feel good, expect them to stay when things get rough. I mean, I think this 411 time, this time with your admin, one time a week, 20 minutes to an hour. And I think it fluctuates. There's times where our thing is 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Because I've been in the office and we're together a lot, and it's not
I would
necessary.
say the majority of the first 2 years, it was an hour. And then since then, it's fluctuated depending on what's going on in the business and what we need. And on top of that, too, I mean, I remember that it's not always just the 411 time. We still will go to lunch or something together throughout the week, as needed, just for fun. And we end up talking about stuff. So.
Well, what's the first thing that happens after I've been on vacation?
We meet.
I mean, we go to lunch.
Yeah.
We meet.
Yeah.
And that's a longer meeting. That's because I have clarity in my brain for having been on vacation. And so I have questions to ask and things to share. And then I've been gone, so you have to update me on the things that happened. And so, in fact, there's been times I've been super cranky with you on where I came home and there wasn't an expectation for us to meet.
Yeah.
Right? Do you remember? And I think it's only happened one time. But I got cranky and I said, hey, when I get home from vacation, we need to meet. Because I I don't want to lose these thoughts. I don't want to lose this momentum that we have. But it's paramount. All right, there it is. That's the 411 aspect of time.
And the 411, just they call it 411. It's like 411 for information, but you break. Well, again, I'll post the example, but you break down into the week what you're supposed to do.
It's
4 weeks into
areas
a month,
of life,
and then 4 quarters.
4 areas of life.
Yeah.
An annual goal, which is 1 year, broken down into monthly goals and 4 weeks. All right, the other sense of one aspect of time I want to talk about is leverage. And this is from a rainmaker's perspective, and I'm eager to hear, Margaret, your take on it. But your primary, if I were to talk to Margaret right now, your primary function for me is to give me more time. Yes? Like, I didn't hire you so I'd have someone to talk to, right? I didn't hire you.
I mean, I don't know.
I didn't hire you to make more work for myself.
No, that would be counterintuitive.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So all of, as far as time goes, just realize and treat people, they are giving you leverage.
Yeah.
And your admin is giving you leverage.
This is awesome. What's the biggest way that I've given you leverage, you think? What's an example of some way that I've given you time back?
The biggest way is in implementation.
Okay.
So I'm an idea guy. I love ideas. My brain's going all the time. And if I have a good idea or an idea, we'll determine later if it's good or not. But if I have an idea, the implementation is where I stumble.
Yeah.
And it's not that I can start 1,000 projects and finish not all of them. That's not a problem for me because I'm in love with the idea, the creative part of it, the birthing part of it. You know what I mean? Like seeing Frankenstein's monster come to life. I'm more interested in seeing that idea come to life than I am in seeing it 5 years from now, right? And so what's great about our relationship and the leverage you provide for me is I can have an idea. I can be the idea guy, the ideation, and you can be the implementer. And part of that leverage for me is I'm too much of a perfectionist. I am too OCD when it comes to style of something. And that takes too much time from me. And it slows me down. And so the biggest thing you do for me is you allow me time. What's the best way to say this? The best thing you do for me is you implement my ideas so that I don't have to slow down.
Yeah.
So I don't have to slow down between idea and creation and implementation. So that's the greatest benefit is I kind of feel like if we were a train, we're laying the track as we're rolling, right? And without you, I'm running out of track. I would run aground, and I'd lose all my momentum. So the biggest thing you give me is the ability to throw things at you, and you implement, you run with them, and I can keep going.
Makes sense.
Did you expect that?
No, that was more big picture than I thought you would go. I thought you'd go smaller.
Well, I think
makes total sense. And
Rainmakers, listen, if I can't help it anymore. In fact, if I wrote down what you did on a daily basis, very little of it is admin stuff. And I want people to understand that. I don't think people understand that. You don't create listing books. You're not touching the database. You're not doing drip campaigns. You're not doing that stuff because I have you in a position where you can just catch what I throw at you. And at the same time, I don't need to even throw stuff at you anymore. Now you're throwing stuff at yourself and implementing it. And so when people ask me what you do, I tell them that you look for inefficiencies in our business, and you develop systems and processes to make us more efficient. You implement them, but you don't maintain them. So you implement them, you test them to see what breaks. And then once you're to a point where things aren't breaking, then you hand it over to Sarah to maintain.
Yeah, that's very good.
That's a very unique role.
Yeah.
Very few people that is your role as director of operations. That's what I see you as. Versus You're not doing inventory or checking stamps, or that's a vital role in an organization.
Yeah.
And when you needed leverage, that's what we took away. We really took away all the administrative functions of the job for you to do that.
Totally.
What are your thoughts on that? How does that make you feel?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a very good description of what I do. I hadn't thought about putting it that way. The way you describe it is good for when I talk to people about what I do. I think when I tell people, I break it down into, I definitely call myself the implementer. I say I take on all PR, recruiting, screening, hiring alongside with you, marketing, and kind of being the HR go-to person for the team and being the face of Pickett Street when I need to be. Planning events, so I break it down into more of the details, but I like the way that you describe it big picture-wise, because that's totally it. And I think we figured out in the first couple of years that I wasn't going to be satisfied with a lot of those admin tasks that you talked about for a long, long time. It was good for me to do those, to get to know the business, but it wasn't entertaining enough, and I do get bored. I needed the challenge.
Well, and to be totally fair and honest, you're not as good at the administrative stuff.
No, I'm not. Yeah.
Not
my wheelhouse, really. No.
I'd say Sarah's very efficient in ways
actually, that's a great point, because she's much, and in her home life too, when we talk about like finances and things like that, she's so consistent with things that she's really good at that. Whereas I'm like, as we know with my project on my duplex, I'm a little bit fly by the seat of my pants type. So, yeah, I think that's confusing to people the more that you say that now. When you talk about what I do versus what Sarah does, I think people expect that I'm in the database, I'm doing all those sorts of tasks when I'm not. Yeah.
No, I mean, quite simply, you get annoyed if I give you an administrative task.
Sure. Yeah, I'll do it. Well, and somebody came up to me last week and said it made a lot of sense to them when we talked last week about there might be something in my skill set that I can do that I'm good at, but it's not what I'm passionate about. It's not what lights me up. And so I can do anything. You tell me, I can do anything that you need me to do or anybody else needs me to do. What I like and what I love to do is what's going to bring the most change. That's how I'm going to impact a business or a person's life or someone the most, was when I'm doing something for them that I'm passionate about. So
I'm just thinking through, I'm thinking about that. This weekend I did a bunch of Honeydew type projects.
Like what?
Well, I mean, it's, January. So Christmas it's not holiday season, right? And so our house is a comedy of errors in a lot of ways. Last year I paid someone to put lights on my house, and this year I'm trying to keep more of my money in. So, and Jill thought she could do it, and it didn't work out. And so we had lights.
It's hard to hang them up out there. It's high.
We had lights on our house. Only half of them ever worked. And then the other half, we took some down, but not all of them down. And then I hurt my back and, the whole thing. And so we still had icicle lights on our house. And I had to put the tree up, goes in a high storage rack in the garage. Our shower was leaking. And I'm like, fine. I hate doing handyman stuff, but I know how to do it.
Yeah.
I just didn't want to do it.
Yeah.
Why? Because I value my time.
Yeah.
And I know my dollar per hour is way higher than hiring a handyman to do those things. And the way I value my time for relaxation, it's worth it. But every once in a while, as a man, you just have to do these things to prove to the woman in your life that you're capable of doing these things. Otherwise, she may not ever believe that you're capable of fixing a simple thing like a leaky faucet. So I was like, okay, fine. And it was a good time for me and my son to bond and do some things together. That was manual labor. And every single one of the things I did broke or didn't work or needs more attention. So like
that's frustrating.
But the only caveat is, yes, the lights are off the house. You can't really break that, right? And they're put away. But the leaky shower worked for like a day, and now it's leaking again. And so now it's more it's more vexing to me now because I want it done right. And I want it done right the first time. And I know I'm not the person to do that. And still sometimes I feel like I have to.
Yeah.
And so when I think about this conversation and your role and everything else, I understand why it gets to you when I ask you to do something administratively.
Yeah.
And because that's not your highest and best use.
Yeah.
You can do it.
Yeah.
It may not be perfect, and it might have to do it more than once at this point. So I totally.
Oh, it's like when Sarah's on vacation and I have to step in and do
a listing book.
Oh my Lord. Like
so fun.
That week, whenever she's gone, it's like, Margaret has to make a listing presentation book. Here goes the next hour and a half, which used to take me maybe 20, 25 minutes.
Well, another agent in our team was doing a CMA for a listing, which is not something she normally does. And as I talked to her today through this, I asked her about it. Do you need help? Because I can do that in my sleep, Yeah. And she goes, no, I think I got it. And what's great is we have a system and a process where any agent, if they want to learn how to use Toolkit CMA, which is a program we use, they can log in and there's step-by-step instructions on how to do it. I know she was capable of doing it. I also knew it would take her 45 minutes.
Yep.
I can do it literally in 90 seconds.
Yeah.
And so I know it's not something she's going to do on a normal, regular basis. I gave her the opportunity to do it that way. But I also gave her the opportunity to have it done in 90 seconds.
Yeah.
And she chose wisely.
Yeah. Good.
And I will say this. I'm proud of her for choosing wisely.
Yeah.
Don't waste 45 minutes of your life doing something you're not going to do on a regular basis.
So true.
Let the person who does it on a regular basis do it.
Which I think is a great, actually, segue into kind of talking about why leverage. It's so many owners, business owners, have a hard time giving things up because they have perfectionistic tendencies or because they don't trust someone with their business quite yet. And I understand because there's a lot of people that have been screwed over by different people that they've employed. I get that. So you have to be careful about what you let go of. And at the same time, don't be doing all these things, all these tasks, all these parts of your business that you don't even enjoy doing. Start giving it up. Start finding someone that you can trust to take it over because you're not going to be able to maintain it forever. Unless you just want to be just an entrepreneur on your own and not hire anybody, and that's okay too.
I think an admonition I want to make of other rainmakers is this. I know rainmakers. I've been this way, okay? I know a lot of rainmakers that they want someone to be available at their beck and call.
Oh,
meaning, hey, this is it. I just thought of this.
Yep.
I need you to, hey, Margaret, Margaret. Yeah? Margaret, I want you to work on this. I want you to do this, okay?
Right now. Yeah.
And then 10 minutes later, I do it again. Yeah. And 20 minutes later, I do it again. And I just want to tell rainmakers, make sure you're valuing the time of your direct reports as well. Mm-hmm. Like, there's efficient ways to do things and inefficient ways to do things. Mm-hmm. And your need to have someone jump every time you need something is not serving your business.
No.
And so we've gotten really good at, and I think you need to honor time blocking. So we honor time blocking. And so you have a one thing sign you put on your door, meaning really try not to interrupt me because I'm doing my one thing. I'm doing focus time.
Really, nobody should be knocking on my door because you all should be lead generating.
And that's the other thing. That's during our lead generation time.
It's also to help you guys focus.
Yeah, you're basically saying, I'm not here to help you right now. So why don't you go make some calls? Right?
Yeah, we want to help you guys as much as possible, especially the newer agents, stay on track.
Oh, I was so annoyed today because we had an appointment in the morning, which we don't do appointments in the morning. And you know what? It threw off my entire day.
Yeah.
I'm not kidding.
Yeah.
Like the timing fucked up my day.
Yeah.
Because, sorry if you have kids in the car. But it messed up my day because it was in the middle of my morning.
Yeah.
So I barely got here.
Yeah.
I had to rush to do something before we left. And then that appointment took longer. And now we're doing this. And then I have an appointment to run to. So I don't have time for lunch.
Yeah.
Like it jacked up my whole day. And if I was in control of it, it would have been at 2:00.
Yeah.
And it would have meant... Honestly, I think it would have meant 90 more minutes of productivity in my day.
Yeah. Well, you know what? That probably goes back to me. That's probably my fault because I suggested that she schedule it in the morning rather than after your afternoon appointment because I figured you'd want to go home after your 1:00 appointment. All leads back to me.
Well,
It's
no,
all
but, and that
me.
is an aspect of I don't, like, for instance, Book Me.
Yeah.
Book Me is a system you implemented,
Yep.
and I don't use it. Mm-hmm. And that's not a productive system. Mm-hmm. But the reason I don't use it is because I like having control over my schedule. Mm-hmm. I want people to have to talk to me to schedule things.
Yeah.
Because I have an active brain and mind, and I know all the moving pieces. Mm-hmm. And I'm sorry, I don't care how good your calendar is. I can't put every moving piece in there. Mm-hmm. Today,
have you looked at my calendar recently?
I know, but I have a blended family, and with 3 kids, and they're all going in different directions. They're different ages, different genders. They're doing different things, and they're literally after school today. They're all going in literally different directions, right?
Yeah.
That impacts my schedule, and I know how to deal with it.
Yeah.
I can't tell Google Calendar how that works.
Jesse versus the calendar.
What's my point?
You were talking
Just
about
to honor your employees' time, right?
Yeah. And we've talked about that back and forth because I think oftentimes you get stuck, and you've talked about this in a great fashion, that yes, you hired someone, you're paying them, you're paying the money for them to work with you, for the company. And at the same time, we have to look past them and see the human first. So and I think you fully do that with me, and you have, I think actually always. You see Margaret, you see the human, you saw that I was learning in the first 2 years, and so you knew that you could help me prioritize what needed to go first in the business. Now you know that based on what you've told me, I know what to prioritize, and you know you don't need to yell it out at me, or and you totally respect my time. You, from the very beginning, you were like, you leave at 5 and you don't work on the weekends.
I wanted to talk about this.
You texted me to check in on me. I think the first week, it was like a Thursday, I was driving home, my mom had picked me up, and you texted me and just said, hey, how's it going with the training and everything like that? And my mom was like, wow, this is so cool. He's checking in to see how it's going. And then you were very specific with the rest of the team too, to say, you know, if there's an emergency, call Margaret if you have to, but otherwise she's done at 5.
Yeah. And
I know that's unique because for a fact, I don't think I've ever heard any other business owner in real estate tell their admin that, because every other admin I know is working past 5, through the night, through the weekends, and they're burning out and they're unhealthy and they're leaving companies and they're like going to different industries because they can't handle it.
And this is why we do the podcast, so people have an insight into how this works and why it works. And this is an important function. This is an important
super important
feature of our relationship.
Yeah.
About our longevity. Mm-hmm. Is that you wouldn't be here if
I'd be in another industry.
If you had to respond to my neurotic tendencies on Saturday and Sunday, in addition to the other 5 days of the week, you wouldn't be here.
No.
And I think night times and weekends specifically are sacred for family and and for even just personal time. And I don't want that to erode. I don't. In fact, I'm ridiculous about it in my own life. I don't like to do nighttime appointments. I don't do weekend appointments because that's my time set aside. And really, quite honestly, Rainmakers, you should get this. If you know that if you make something a priority, the results that come from that. Okay, so you make priorities at work. Great. Are you doing the same thing at home?
Yeah.
Are you doing the same thing for your own mental health?
Yeah.
Are you blocking off time that you have just for yourself, and are you blocking off that you have just for your family? Because if you let that time erode into work, man, it erodes
Everything.
Every aspect of your life is now open for negotiation.
Yeah.
And that's no fun. I can tell you, I hate it when Jill looks at me like I've been on the phone too much. Why? Because I've probably been on the phone too much. And I don't like the way that feels. And so I'm trying to be, and now that my kids are getting phones, I'm very aware of it. Like, I don't want to model for them that I'm on the phone all the time.
Yeah.
Because then when I look at them and tell them to put their phone down, they won't listen to me.
Yep.
Well, Dad, you don't. I'm like, oh, okay. But I want to be super clear. Rainmakers, if you are bugging your EA, your admin, your DOO, if you're bugging them after work hours, you are eroding the foundation of your relationship with them.
Yeah. So that's a great way of putting it.
Yeah, it's like a waves crashing against a sandy beach.
Because I know, I mean, that's a great metaphor because I love beaches. You know what I think it is too? Like what you just said, absolutely. It's like, it's what I know that no matter what, you will support me in. I am a salaried employee. I chose that role for a reason. Salaried employees typically work 9 to 5, right? And I know, and you know that I stretch that for the benefit of the business and for the benefit of you. You don't ever abuse that. And knowing that you support me in that way, it makes me feel like I'll work that much harder for you because I know you'll always say, Margaret, don't do that, or Margaret, stop. And it's just, it's a great way to build trust. It's a great foundation to that partnership.
Okay, so I want to be real with people. That doesn't mean that I haven't asked you to do things on the weekend.
Oh, yeah, and it comes up on occasion, but it's very rare.
I want to say like once in the last 52 weeks.
52 weeks? Is that how many weeks
a year?
Okay. I mean, and when I talk about, like, I do things voluntarily on the weekends to get me ahead for whatever I'm doing the next week. I don't even know, really, if I could remember what you asked me to do on a weekend.
I don't know if I could either.
Could you, like, send this email because you're stuck somewhere where you don't have access to Wi-Fi and you called me or something? Like, it'd be something really random. And even other than that, we might text about, like, what are we going to talk about on the next podcast, or what are we going to talk about with this person in this interview tomorrow? But otherwise, it's not like, can you please go do this?
Right.
Because I am sitting with my phone, maybe having dinner with a friend. I'm not in a place where I can easily write down notes of what you're asking me to do, and that's respectful. If something does pop up, I'll email it to myself, and that's how I use my checklist like that. But no, I think that's very much a foundational piece to our partnership.
Yeah, so if you
Mutual
just
respect.
let people have their weekends, let people have their nights. I don't bug you at night.
Mm-hmm.
After I leave here, after your work day is done,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not reaching out to you about work items. Unless it's planning or I'm headed out of town or who knows what.
Something random.
And I do believe fundamentally that that's important to longevity. So if you have someone who's great and you want them to stick around, honor their time.
Yeah, I was just on an interview or a Zoom call yesterday with like 10 team leaders, and Todd Paxton, who's out of the South, I forget where, he talked, I think you guys need to meet, I told you this yesterday, because he talked about counterbalance a lot, like how you just did. And he was like, I knew when I brought on the right admin that I would be gifted with time. He said he had closed 100 deals on his own with no TC, no admin, nothing. And his wife was about to smash him. And so when he started getting that time back, he's like, I realized how poorly I had balanced my time at home. I didn't prioritize. I didn't time block for my family. I have 2 kids. So I think this is something that I hope business owners really hear, because it's just critical to having, there's no way to have balance completely, but have a counterbalance.
Yeah, knowing when.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, vacation. This is funny because I have to tell you to go on vacation.
Yeah.
Often.
Yeah.
Like I'll tell you why, because it's the implications of you not going on vacation are disastrous.
Bad.
It's so bad. I don't know anyone quite like you.
What do you mean?
Other than maybe me, as far as like how cranky you can
Oh,
get.
you can get really cranky. Yeah. It's true.
Yeah, and you really need, and it's funny, you're funny because sometimes you need, like vacations, that doesn't cover it. That's not enough for you. Like, because it's not a vacation. Sometimes you need a vacation from your vacation. You often need that. And so let's talk about vacation. I'm going on vacation. I leave tonight. Like and we're
You're
pretty
leaving tonight?
Well, kinda. Our flight's early in the morning.
And you go stay down by the airport.
We're stayed down by the airport, so I don't have to get up at 4 a.m. or 3:30. And then it kind of feels like our vacation starts early because we're staying in a hotel and we'll have a drink at the bar. I realized probably in November I would need a vacation around now, and so I booked it. And it gives me something to work toward. It gives me something to look forward to. And more often than not, I know that I'm always busy when it's time to go on vacation, and new business comes out of nowhere.
Yep.
And I love it. I love it. I hate it and I love it. I love it that I get busy and all this stuff happens and it feels like I can't go anywhere because I figure it out. I make it happen.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go on vacation and I'm going to come back and I'm going to be better to all of you. Right? I'm going to be a better boss to everybody. I'm going to be a better real estate agent. I'm going to be a better father and a better partner. Like, I'm going to be better in so many aspects. Why? Because I took the time to, like, decompress and give myself some mental health days. And so I know that about myself. You know that about yourself. You know that you get a little neurotic when you haven't had any time for yourself.
It's because, I mean, in this role, and we talk about this, but I don't think people actually take action, and I'm forcing myself to take action. Our job is we are needed by people constantly. People constantly need things from me. Margaret, can you do this? Margaret, can you do this? Margaret, can you talk to me about this? Margaret, can you talk to me about that? Hey, Margaret, can you help the office with this? Hey, Margaret. So it's like, that's why I'm really purposeful about doing yoga, doing things for myself that make me feel good, getting massages, things like that. But a vacation is like nobody can reach me for 24-hour periods, usually like 5 to 7 days. And it takes me a day or two to come down from that platform of like people need me all the time to be like, oh, it's just me. I can do whatever I want. The only person that needs me is me. And what do I want to do? And so, yeah, you're right. And I think I'm going to get to a place where I probably do something quarterly. So it's like I don't wait too long. And the other part, though, is too life circumstances. Like I've needed to wait till I get to a spot as a single person where I can afford to do the vacations that I want to do. I don't want to just go to Tacoma, or someplace really local. I would love to go to...
For context, for people that aren't familiar with Washington State, Tacoma is about an hour south of us.
And that's where I went. Thank you. You're so good at giving context.
I know. You are
just
terrible
throw it
at
out.
it.
I know.
You just drop names and cities like people know.
And so I went to school at Tacoma, and it's 40 minutes away. Like, I want sunshine. I want a place that's different. I want the adventure.
40 minutes away.
I mean, if you drive quickly.
If you drove in a tunnel with no one else in it,
yeah.
It's not 40 minutes away. Sorry.
But I have that spontaneous, the travel bug, the person in me that wants to, if I could, I would go to Italy tomorrow. And so part of it is being responsible, too, with my finances till I get to a place where I can do that. So...
that doesn't mean you can't get away and you can't go on
Yeah,
vacation.
but it's not like that's like, okay, there's the perfectionist in me. I don't want to I went to that little mini retreat on Whidbey Island. That was great. And would have been even better in Hawaii. So I have very high standards.
Well, if we have to choose between you going to some place an hour away and being nice to everyone afterward versus you being mean to people until you could go where you want to go. F you, by the way. No, I mean this. This is my point. This is a good illustration. You seem to prioritize or you seem to push things out until it's idealistic. Like it's exactly what you want.
Well, yeah, I have some high standards and I want to take great vacations.
And you have to work your way up to that.
I'm working it. Totally.
And in the absence of that, you do what you can.
Yeah, I know. I'm just not a big fan of staycations. See,
It's not a staycation. You don't have to do a staycation. You could go, there's a great community. I'm not even talking about the names. It doesn't matter, right? Wherever you're at, you're probably 90 minutes away from something awesome.
Yeah.
And we are 90 minutes away from one of my favorite places on earth. And I can go there for a weekend, and it makes a difference. And it feels like a retreat. It feels like a vacation.
So this is where you're better at taking short breaks or like doing projects sporadically. You're right in that when I am in the middle of something, whether it's a project or an event or something, I like to push through to the end, conquer it, and then take a break.
See, and I like to push that deadline out as far as I can. Go on vacation right beforehand, and then finish it with 6 hours left to go.
So it's a good yin-yang balance.
No, it's not, Margaret.
I'm not.
You are supposed to be
between you and me. That's what I'm talking about.
You are supposed to be a good coaching student right now, and you're supposed to hear the fact that I'm saying.
I'm hearing it.
Could be better at going on vacation.
Oh, believe me, I'm working on it.
Because I'm the one that has to remind you to go on vacation. I'm the one that has to say, "Hey, Margaret, so you don't go off like Chernobyl in 2 months. Maybe we should plan something." So, with that in mind. You have the Pacific Northwest Admin Retreat coming up in April. Mm-hmm. Are you going on vacation prior to that or immediately thereafter?
That's a great question. Probably after.
Not probably.
Well, I'm considering
planning
a trip
this.
to Iceland. I haven't even talked to you about that. So
I've been to Iceland.
I know you have.
You don't want to ask my opinion?
Oh, no, I'm going to, but I haven't even decided if it's a reality now. I'd actually would, if Jared's listening to this, I'm sorry. I would actually prefer to go to Italy, so I'm trying to see if I can make that work. I'm manifesting all sorts of stuff right now during my meditation time, so if someone's out there and has an easy way for me to get to Italy this year before the end of the year.
Oh, my gosh.
Let me know.
Margaret's just like, I'm going to use my social network to get what I want in life.
Hey,
I know.
Social network
You know
has
what?
gotten me everywhere in life.
Iceland, you might love Iceland. You have to go to find out.
I know, and that's why
So
I'm not knocking it. I'm not saying I'm not going to go. I've looked at the terrain. I saw your photos. I know it looks amazing. Right now, though, as I told you before, Italy is like top of my list.
It is top of your list.
Yeah.
If everything, all these other things line up for that to happen.
Yeah.
And you still need to go on vacation.
I'm going to.
And Iceland is a very affordable international vacation.
Mm-hmm.
And you would have an amazing experience. Mm-hmm. And it's not as cold in April or May as it is in February when I went.
Oh, God, yeah. Yeah. So vacation's
You're so
happening.
frustrating.
I'm doing a vacation quarterly.
When's your next vacation?
I don't have it planned right
Then
now.
you're not doing it.
Well, I'm sorry. There's been a lot of things that have taken priority over it.
And I'm saying we're doing it now. So when are you going?
Oh, you mean like right now?
Yes.
Oh my God. Okay. I'm going in April.
When is the
Through
retreat?
the 7th.
Huh?
It's through the 7th.
All right. So in April, you'll go on a vacation.
Mm-hmm.
And we can keep you accountable to that.
Sure, yeah.
And it may not be Italy.
Oh, I probably won't be.
You'll be okay with that.
Although it could manifest and happen.
I feel like we're on where I grew up. There was like two radio stations. One was the country station, and one was the pop
Please tell me
radio
you listen to the
station.
country.
Oh, I'm getting there. And this might be why I don't like country music to this day, because there's like
You like it more now, though.
there was this. It was called the Kick Country Store. It's Country Store. So it was a radio program of classified ads, right? So people would be like, "Welcome to the country store."
That's
Call.
horrible.
So people call in, they go, I got some fencing panels.
What?
I got some extra round pen panels. I give them away for $30. Call Joe at 406. Right? And then the next person would
So
call
it's
on and,
like a
hey, how
Craigslist?
much were those panels? And it was the most infuriating radio program. And I'm like, this is what I have to choose from. I have this.
Is that like the old-fashioned version of Facebook?
This is basically when you're like, so if anyone out there wants to give me a trip or wants to do this for me, you're doing doing country store.
Okay, but you understand the value of networking.
Yes, I do.
That's how I got this job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so did I. That's how I found you, is I was networking also.
Just saying, don't discount the
Don't turn our podcast into the Kit Country Store.
I'm not.
You are.
I'm not at all.
Oh, by the way, if anyone out there is looking for a travel buddy to Italy.
Oh my gosh.
No, Margaret, this whole thing is about, we're supposed to give people insight. And
Here's some insight.
Here's some insight. Margaret sucks at planning vacations. And as you sit here and listen to us talk about it, can you see she's bobbing and weaving?
Oh my God.
Every time I try to pin her down on something.
Well, knowing this, would you like me to go on one once a month? Would that be better?
Is that a threat?
I'm just saying, if I could do it once a month, like I told you when I got back
That's not the point of this.
from that TC retreat, I felt so good.
I would love to do it once a month. I'm not doing that. You're trying to shift my focus. The focus is you don't have a vacation planned. And without a vacation being planned, all I can expect is badness.
Badness.
That's all I can expect is moodiness and things that don't work.
Uh-huh.
And so in an effort to be proactive, can we plan a vacation
Yeah.
for you to go on? Mm-hmm. That may not be Italy. That may require you some of your resources.
Uh-huh. Are we officially exhausted now? So that was vacation.
Well, we're going to have to wrap it up pretty soon, regardless. All right, I'm holding your feet to the fire. So you agree, everyone heard her. You will plan a
Everyone
vacation
out there.
in April. Mm-hmm. And we all look forward to hearing the results.
This was a great topic.
I'm good. I don't have the energy to pat myself on the back
We
right
hope
now.
that you have a lovely time in Mexico.
Oh, don't tell people where I'm going. I could.
Why?
Maybe I'm going to Iceland. No, I'm going to Mexico. I need some sun. I need a tan. Jill likes me better when I'm tan.
Oh my
and
gosh.
I do get really tan, and this is probably the least tan I've been.
The last pro I would say to like Rainmaker going on vacation or anybody going on vacation is that the business learns how to survive without you. So every time you leave, we figure out something else. Every time I leave, Sarah figures something else out. There's a benefit to going on vacation for the business too.
By the way,
So.
I just want to be clear. That is not how I coach Margaret usually.
What are you talking about?
I don't get frustrated and yell at you like. I'm being humorous for the show, and
Oh,
I'm
for sure.
being demonstrative.
And I think I was actually a great example.
Well, you're bullheaded.
Totally. I'm very stubborn, which is why we work really well together because you're stubborn too.
Yeah, every once in a while, I'll, like throw a dog a bone. Every once in a while, make it just give,
Also, I'm a perfectionist, which I think that also, I mean, you can tell me if you don't think so, but I think that helped you to give some things up to me because you knew that my quality matters to me. All of these things that we talk about when it comes to time, anything around the partnership, what you find, I know what's important to you. And it just so happens that quality over quantity is important to me too. So vacation's important to me.
I like going on vacation, and it feels a little weird this time because I don't feel like I have as much experience. I'm not leaving as much experience behind me in the form of licensed agents.
This has happened before. One time you left us just with 4 of us, 2 brand new within the first month.
Well, we're in a similar, or close to that,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so I'm just embracing the chaos.
Yeah. Embrace it.
it.
Embrace it. We'll figure it out. I am like, I used to get so nervous when you
Can I
would
tell
leave.
one last story? I don't think did I
Okay.
tell you this? Did I tell you about my morning?
No.
Okay. This is my last story, and then
Okay.
we gotta go.
Okay.
But this is how the universe is making me earn this vacation.
Oh no.
I woke up, all the kids, so Jill worked today, so she's gone early. She's a
kids were
nurse.
there?
She works 12-hour shifts. She leaves the house before 6 a.m. That means I'm responsible for taking care of the kids, feeding them, making sure they're ready for school, getting them to school on time. We're having a great day.
We're
By the
having
way,
a great day. It's been an hour? Are you
oh,
an
by
hour
the way,
into
I
it?
leave tonight and I haven't packed anything.
Mm-hmm.
I am wrapping up some laundry, and I'm like taking it easy.
That's typical Jesse fashion.
Kids are fed, right? We have about 15 minutes to go.
Okay.
In that 15 minutes, every kid cried.
What?
In the next 15 minutes, all of my children cried.
What happened?
My son broke my stepson's action figure that he bought with his own money yesterday
Oh,
for $15.
Yeah.
So my stepson was beside himself. I told my son, if I broke something with my buddies, I have to replace it.
Yeah.
So my son David had to go to his bank, get all the money he had, which was $8, and then give it to my stepson.
God.
Now my son's crying because he's broke. He doesn't have any money, and I'm teaching him about money, and I'm like, why are you broke? So he's crying.
Wow.
My
There's like multiple lessons
daughter
happening.
decides to clean out the pockets of her jacket and throw stuff in the garbage, and she throws her ring that has her name on it that was given to her by her mom in the garbage. So now there's 10 minutes before we're leaving for school, and I'm digging through the garbage, and I'm touching, and you don't
This is your
understand.
favorite thing to
You don't
do
understand how I have OCD tendencies about hygiene.
were you digging
so
through it,
much
not her?
Because she gave up. She had already done it for 10 minutes, couldn't find it, and
kidding.
she was beside herself. And I'm
Oh,
like,
no.
this is from my mom, and it has my name on it. And I'm like, ugh. So I get in there, and I'm touching all sorts of stuff I never want to touch, and I eventually find it. 5 minutes left to go to school. My daughter's happy. She's excited. Then
It sounds like the perfect towel.
she loses her phone. She's like, Dad, this is really bad timing. I just lost my phone. I know the phone's in the house because it's in the house. I saw her with it 20 minutes ago. It's in the house. She doesn't have location services turned on, so we can't find it using Find My Phone.
Oh,
So I'm literally, now we're late for school. We're late for school. My daughter's crying because she can't find her phone. My sons are upset because life is not going their way.
wow.
And we're
This is
5 minutes late for school.
Epic.
This is the universe saying, go to Mexico.
Did you find the
And this
phone?
is what I'm telling you, Margaret, is you need to plan it so the universe doesn't mess up your life.
Okay.
And force you to run screaming out of town with your hair on fire.
Wow.
You understand?
I get it.
Is it clear?
Thank God I don't have 3 kids.
All right. Now I have to go. 'Cause I don't have time.
Thank you for joining us today on this episode all about time. We'll see you guys next time.
Hasta la vista.